Poor Pictures 3, the worst films. Hi, here's the top 5 worst films. These films are abysmally bad. Only rule is, only 2 boring films. Most bad films are boring, so let's go. Number 5, Harry Potter 6. I disliked the Harry Potter film franchise. The worst film franchise I've ever seen. The only thing good of the whole franchise is the books. And Harry Potter 6 was probably the worst book. But this film is way worse. It's one of the most boring films I've ever seen. I know I hate the films, but this one is the absolute worst. Harry Potter 3 was a 4 out of 10, and the rest were a 5 out of 10. Maybe 4 was a 6. Harry Potter 6 was abysmally boring throughout the whole thing. But why is it only number 5? The ending was great. Number 4, Fox and the Hound. You know, this film would have been passable if it wasn't for one thing. Widow Tweed. She is the worst Disney character I've ever had the misfortune of seeing. She was portrayed as a hero, but she is a nasty villain. What she did was cruel. This bit is a bit of a spoiler. She abandoned her pet. I was disgusted. Her pet fox could have been killed. She knew what was out there. I know you're not meant to have a fox, but why did she take the fox in the first place? That makes 0 sense. She said she can't leave the fox out there all alone, but then she left him later in the film. She disturbed the circle of life. For shame, Widow Tweed. For shame. Coming at number 3, Pocahontas. I have never been as disgusted with a film as I have with Pocahontas. This is the worst thing Disney has ever created that I've watched. I haven't watched Cars 2 or Song of the South. I probably never will. But I have never been as disgusted with a film as this one. Savages is the worst song I've ever heard. Not just Disney songs, but in general. I thought Morning Report was bad. The lyrics were terrible to this song. They made me feel very uncomfortable. This film wouldn't have been made nowadays. It wouldn't have been accepted. Coming at number 2, Slumdog. This is the most boring film I've ever seen. It's awful. Throughout the whole thing, I was absolutely bored. One thing kinda got my interest. That was a 7 out of 10 moment. That lasted for 10 seconds. Its only kind of good moment lasted for 10 whole seconds. The rest I was so bored. Other people like this film, but I can't see why. Well, I can see why, but it's just really bad. But I despise this film. Before I get on to the number 1, I just want to go through a few quick dishonourable mentions. Avengers Infinity War. It's not that bad. It's one of the worst Marvel films I've ever produced. Not the worst, but I was confused. Spider-Verse. This is a masterpiece compared to the things on the list. Oh, it is bad. Half of the film was some of the worst things I've ever had to sit through. But not the worst. Number 6, Cars. Without a doubt, Pixar's worst film. It's awfully boring. I never cared for it while watching it. I'll call it a number 6. But with those out of the way, here we go. And without a doubt, the number 1 worst film is Isle of Dogs. I know I prefer animation over live action, but I hate some animation. But nothing can compare. No movie, TV, video game could compare to how rotten this film is. I try to understand why people like certain media, but I can never understand the love this film gets. People who would hate this film, this kind of film, love it. It is vile, rotten. I love creepy pieces of media like Coraline. I'm working on something gruesome myself, but this takes it too far. I hated the characters, the story. The animation was bad, but at least it gave the feeling of how dark this film is. And this is why Isle of Dogs It's literally the worst film I've ever seen. These films are rare and a lot of people love them. No offense to the creators, I see the work, just don't like them myself. That's it. Hope you enjoyed my review. There will be the opposite next week. So, bye.